Welcome back to Reboot Rescored presents The Golem. In our last episode, we explored the Golem through the lens of magic and mystics. Tonight, we focus on the universal language of music. Film is a medium built around the image, but the music and the words that undergird those images are equally important in cinematic storytelling. And in the world of silent film, the music carries the entire load.
Now, we don't know exactly what music was played to accompany the Golem when it originally premiered in the early 20th century. However, this mystery has led to opportunities for musicians to engage Paul Wegener's images, creating new audio atmospheres for the story to play out in.
The music for this installment is brought to you by a trio, featuring Meg Baird, a chanteuse formerly of the band Espers, and her longtime collaborator, guitarist Charlie Saufley, and Sway Machinery's Jeremiah Lockwood, a student of Jewish mysticism and the blues. I just experienced this segment of the film in a different way than I ever have before. And that is because a new musical interpretation has been added to this segment of the film. Isn't it interesting that while film is such a visual medium, the way that the musical interlude or the musical experience as we watch a film can completely change for us as that music changes?
100%. I know for me personally, I can connect with a film visually, but there's something about the score, there's something about the music that makes me connect emotionally. Yeah. And that can change depending on what artist is working on that film or what song or what tempo. And so we're seeing that with this iteration of it. All these amazing artists who are bringing their work to it, and every single time I see it, I feel something different. Yeah. And I feel them through their work with us.
Well, that's why I'm so excited to have the guest on this episode that we have, because we're going to dive much deeper into this idea of how the musical score and music in general impacts the image, but specifically how it impacts the images in the Golem.
Jeremiah Lockwood is a musician, scholar, composer, and author who explores the space between Jewish mysticism and musicality. Coming from a musical family, Jeremiah is the founder of the Sway Machinery, toured for many years as a guitarist with Balkan Beatbox, and has scored a number of film projects. Jeremiah received his PhD from the Stanford University Graduate School of Education with a concentration in education and Jewish studies in 2020. We spoke to Jeremiah about the relationship between music and image in the Golem. Jeremiah, thank you so much for being with us today, especially being the musician that you are and scholar. I guess I should probably start with, you kind of sit at the intersection of exploring Jewish mysticism and musicality. What drew you to the mystic, to this world?
Oh, thank you so much for the kind word, Torri, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. Certain experiences in childhood that are not explainable and that tempted me towards trying to understand the world as a system of signs and metaphors, certain feelings that pointed towards the paucity of language, the impoverishment of words to be able to completely cover the spectrum of our experiences of life. And, a love of music, and I grew up in a Jewish music family. My grandfather was a great cantor, and I grew up hearing a lot of old-time cantorial records. And so that seemed like a natural medium to me to think about how to explore emotion and how to try to answer questions that are difficult to name.
Jeremiah, do you remember the first time that you heard the story of the Golem and what your reaction was?
Let me see. There was a comic strip about the golems in a Jewish newspaper when I was a kid, and I definitely read that on more than one occasion. And I think I had the Singer children's book about the golem as a little boy. So definitely, golems were present in childhood for me, or the idea of monsters. I think that's very appealing to young people. The idea of forces in the body that are uncontrollable and that can be expressed through some kind of possibly dangerous creative act. I definitely found that appealing as a child. It's similar to Godzilla or, other kinds of monsters that play a role in pop culture and in childhood for a kid.
Well, I think you kind of just touched on this. Our attraction to these monsters or these characters, why do you think they still resonate now, even as adults and for the, wider world?
Our world is filled with monsters and forces that we can't control. And our fantasies are one realm where we can control the monsters. And so having a playground in which to imagine how we can deal with forces that are doing bad in the world, let's say, that's a productive kind of play because it gives us strength and gives us emotional resources for being able to deal with the monsters that are actually out there.
This is a very clear, Jewish story, Jeremiah, that begins with Rabbi Lowe looking to the stars and seeing the misfortune that is coming for his people. And the golem is the product of a creative act. And as an artist, as a musician, how do you navigate this journey between the world of Jewish stories, the world of creativity? All these things seem to be intertwined in the world that you create from. Can you talk about that?
Well, with the golem in particular, there's a fascination with the letters of the alphabet, especially the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and the creative possibilities in what we can do with words that we don't fully understand. And that to me speaks to music that has to do with prayer, right? That the texts of prayers, especially when you're praying in the Hebrew language, are somewhat foreign, right? They're not for a diaspora person, they're not the language that you speak. So this kind of idea of being able to use the magical resonances of words that you don't fully understand is very powerful, right? And the idea that creative acts can be performed through language, and that this kind of dangerous gray area where words are bordering on incoherence, right? And that's fantasy, right? When you speak words that are out of control, there's a great deal of power in that. And the golem is brought into existence through the power of the Hebrew alphabet, and the word emes, or truth, is on his forehead. But if you take away the first letter, the aleph, then the word becomes mes, or dead, right? So there's this kind of relationship between truth and death, and death doesn't only have to be this kind of scary, terrible sense of loss. It can also be an area where we are dancing with spirits, dancing with ancestors, and the connection between truth and the world of spirit is very clearly implicated in the golem narrative. You
kind of spoke to this. There seems to be almost a balance between fear and attraction to the mystical in the story of the golem, with the golem at the center as kind of this automaton. Why do you think we as a culture are attracted to the mystic, but a little bit repelled by it?
Yeah, also afraid and attracted to Jews, or to people who are other in some way. The golem is terrifying and also attractive, and the Jews as kind of exoticized, eroticized human beings who are a little bit outside of the norm of what is expected a human being should be like, right? That's kind of one of the givens of the stories, that Jews are there's something wrong with them, or there's a problem in them. Maybe the what's wrong with them is in the eyes of those who are looking, but it doesn't matter. There's a problem with Jews, and the attractive unknowable is and the way that's articulated through violence and also through eroticism. I think that's kind of key to what's so kind of special and sort of disturbing and creepy about the film, but also to its continued attraction. We're trying to navigate a world in which desire and immorality are kind of like doing a dance with each other.
It seems like the story of the golem is not so much about providing answers as it is asking questions. What sort of questions do you think that the story of the golem poses to us?
Well, the story of the golem poses a question to us about the limits of ethical action, and what is allowed, what can we do and still remain true to our ideals, and what forms of violence can we use to protect ourselves and still be on the the clean side of the ethical.
Well, thank you, Jeremiah, for taking the time to speak with us and giving us so much insight into the music, the mysticism. We are so incredibly grateful.
It was fun to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Join us for the next episode, where we'll be taking a look at how the golem represents more than just a man of clay. He's an archetype that can help us see ourselves.